What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 90 of the Silver and Gold podcast. I'm Josh. Mike, you're muted.
And I am Mike without a mic.
Yeah, he's Mike without a mic. But today we will talk about the 49ers being without Michael Williams. I think that was a pretty decent transition. First, we're going to talk about the Niners against the Giants, and then we'll talk about the Michael Williams injury. The 49ers beat the Giants 34-24. Mike, were you able to catch this morning game?
I didn't really watch any of it. I got to see it for like a few seconds, and the Niners were kind of killing them, so I figured at the time they were killing them. So yeah.
Yeah, I, my availability to be able to watch this game was kind of spotty throughout the day, because it was All Souls Day, so I went to go visit my grandparents in the cemetery, and then there was another kind of family emergency that I kind of had to attend to. But I will talk about a couple things that did stand out to me. I know Mac Jones played very well, especially in the first half. He was like, he started off like without an incompletion for a good majority of the first half, if not even into the second half. But he finished the day with 19 of 24, completions to attempts. He had 235 yards passing and 2 passing touchdowns. One of them was to Christian McCaffrey, and then the other one was to Jawan Jennings. McCaffrey had a hell of a day. He had 28 carries for 106 yards, which isn't necessarily the most efficient, but he had a touchdown. Brian Robinson Jr. was able to rush very effectively. He had 5 carries for 53 yards, which is 10.6 yards per carry, which was insane. And then he had that one touchdown where he bulldozed one of the defenders on the Giants, which was pretty cool. And then Mac Jones had a very impressive 4 carries for 4 yards. And all right, I want to talk about this real quick. Adrian Martinez, all right, he was able to get his first snaps, right? Also, shout out to Greg. I see you in the comments, Greg. Welcome back. Adrian Martinez got his first NFL snap, and he was in victory formation. So if he never plays another down of NFL football in his career, he will finish his career with negative yards. Poor guy. But, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter when you win. So, Adrian Martinez got his first snap. I thought, honestly, when I saw Mac Jones going to the sideline and, signaling somebody to come in, I thought he was signaling Brock Purdy to come in. I thought it was I thought it was going to be like a signal. I'm like, come on, Brock, take a snap. But it was Martinez. And then aside from that, like I said, McCaffrey had a hell of a day, and it continued through the air. It was 5 receptions for 67 yards, which, like I mentioned, McCaffrey as a pass catcher has been honestly the secret weapon that it's the glue that's holding together the 49ers offense. He had a touchdown. Jawan Jennings had 4 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. Kendrick Bourne, 2 catches for 34 yards, pretty efficient, but not necessarily volume heavy. George Kittle had 4 catches for 32 yards, and really, I mean, there's a couple other players that did get a catch, but I'm not gonna touch over them. Pause. Sam Okuwanu also had a good game. He registered a sack. And Cleveland Farrell, I didn't even know he was back on the team until I saw him completely obliterate Jackson Dart. It was one of those plays where Dart was just kind of rolling out, and Cleveland Farrell was washed all the way to he was in the end zone, and then came right behind Dart. Dart had no idea that there was an edge rusher coming from behind him, and then he got clobbered by Cleveland Farrell. I'm actually really glad that he's back on the team, and obviously, Michael Williams is now out for the year with a season-ending torn ACL, another 49er injury, especially to the defense, more specifically to the defensive line, another edge, and you just have to think it's almost like it's almost like every single time this happens, it's like it can't happen again, right? Our luck can't be that bad, right? And then it just is. It's
Yeah.
horrible. But I mean, the 49ers had this game, I think, wrapped up pretty well. There was like 3 minutes left in the game, and Michael Williams was still in there. It was a 10-point game. Um, I don't know. It just sucks. I do think there are times when Shanahan will uh, keep guys in for too long when the game is already decided, but I don't know. I I didn't necessarily get to fully watch the game from start to finish. I had to watch like pieces here and there, so I couldn't necessarily tell you the full story of that injury. But I just remember seeing him on the ground, and I'm like, well, there he goes. He was in a lot of pain, and now that's going to stunt his development. So hopefully he'll be ready by the start of the season next year. I don't even
Right.
know. We have to kind of reevaluate the expectations with him. But just another guy going down, another good player. Well, he I maybe I'm a little quick to jump the gun. He was a I would say a player that could have developed into a really good player,
Right. Up and
which
coming.
he was an up and coming player. Thank you, Mike. But aside from that, I do want to touch over the keys to the game that I had last week and just kind of see how the 49ers did. So, one of the keys that I had was to get the ball out quickly. And, I think the 49ers did a good job because they only allowed 2 sacks and, they were able to pass for, 230 something yards, I think I mentioned. Um, and then the next key was that the 49ers had to attack the Giants' run defense, which they did. McCaffrey had over 100 rushing yards. And then, like I mentioned, Brian Robinson Jr., he had uh, he had 53 yards of his own. So the Niners rushed for about like 100 and 150, 160. Yeah, 159. So they had a pretty good day rushing and attacking the Giants' run defense. And then Ricky Pearsall did not play, so my third key, which was like an optional one to like reinstate him into the offense or reestablish him into the offense, it's that's unavailable, right? And Greg says 49ers players drop like flies, but the wins stack up. Yeah, that's the difference I'd say between this year and last year because last year everybody was dropping like flies as well. And if you remember the 2020 season, I know that was 5 years ago already. The 2020 season, everybody was like injured and we were not winning games. So I guess it shows the resilience of this team this year. Also, that the 49ers probably drafted some pretty good players. It's, Robert Sala bringing that energy to the defense as well because the defense is playing at a high level. Even though they gave up 24 points to the Giants, I still think that like overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the job that Robert Sala has done this year. Um, and really, you also have to factor in just the Niners have had a favorable schedule this year. So that's another reason why the wins are stacking up. So really, this team, as it currently is, without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, and without Michael Williams and others, Mike, would you say that this team is among the best in the NFL, or do you think that they're kind of a pretender?
Well, I mean, for one, it's kind of hard to judge that when they have so many injuries. And they do have guys that are still going to return between Purdy, presumably Ayuk. Um, Obviously they got Kittle back. Pearsall. Um, I can't think of really any defenders that are coming back from injury, right? Like it feels like everybody that's out is out. At least the main stars in your defense that I can think of. Fred Warner,
Yeah.
Nick Bosa, and then now the first rounder Michael Williams, they're out for the year.
Yep.
I can't think of anybody that's coming
Bryce
back.
Huff. Bryce Huff.
Okay, Bryce Huff, and then you still have Diamador Lenore.
Yes.
Um, I think it really depends on Brock Purdy and his health. And then obviously Pearsall and Ayuk, can they come back and help, make this passing offense better to go with? It's not the most efficient run game. This week was good, but an effective run game and an effective player in McCaffrey, obviously. Um, I think right now you kind of come off like pretenders because you're so injured, yet you have still a good record. Um, but what makes sense to me is being a buyer at the trade deadline, which is I think tomorrow. I think
Yeah,
if you guys can get an edge defender, and I mean really maybe two, you know, um, you would suddenly look a little stronger. That being said, like I think you guys are more in the bracket of playoff contenders than Super Bowl contenders. You know,
yeah, I agree with you. Without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, I just don't have the Super Bowl expectations this year.
right?
Obviously, if they get that could change. They could just run the table the rest of the way, and then I'll say, you know what? They might just like
There are
win a
teams that get
Super
hot at the right
Bowl.
time.
Yeah, if they run the table, I might be saying a couple months from now, you know what? Forget the injuries. Like they just need to win games. They just one game at a time. If they can, like, there's no clear cut best team in the NFL right now. I thought it was the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs lost to the Bills, and then the Bills have dropped, kind of questionable games here and there.
Mm.
So I don't know. I feel like right now everything is kind of up for grabs. Even the Eagles, they just kind of have their weeks where it's like, man, they're the best team in football, and then another week where they're like, man, how did they lose that one? Yeah. Uh, Greg, I will mention the trade for Kuntz, which I don't think is a bad idea. I think that's a pretty good idea, and it would make sense for both the Raiders and the Niners. Um, I I personally I want to ask you, Mike, if you're the Niners, do you trade for Trey Hendrickson? Apparently, the asking price is a first round pick.
That's it's rough. I mean, I think if you're comparing, if Malcolm Kuntz can be had for a fourth rounder versus Trey Hendrickson for a first, Trey Hendrickson, who by the way is like dealing with a hip injury or something like that, I would take Kuntz in a heartbeat. Is he as overall? What's the term? An overall defensive end compared to Hendrickson?
No.
No, he's more of a pass rush specialist, but he's good against the run too. And I like Kuntz a lot. We've seen that over the past year or two. Um, but I think because Kuntz is on a 1 year deal this year, it makes a lot of sense to me. And he's not like breaking out. He's not going out there and lighting the world on fire like he kind of seemed like he was on pace to a year ago before his injury. It's also a possible, nice, cheap, for lack of a better term, investment in a guy who maybe a year from now or a season from now gets better because he's a year removed from the injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Raiders might just not be in the right place to re-sign him to like a multi-year deal at this time, with a potential, retooling on the mend this offseason. We'll see. But I think picking up a fourth rounder for the Raiders would be good. Um, and I think getting an edge defender like Kuntz would be good for the Niners.
Yeah. And then Greg says that he was also thinking about Jacoby Myers for the Niners. I tend to think they wouldn't need Jacoby Myers because they're going to have Ricky Pearsall coming back, and then they're also going to have Brandon Ayuk coming back at a certain point. I think right now
Yeah.
the biggest thing is for them to evaluate when is their realistic Super Bowl window, because if they feel like they can make a run at it this year, maybe you would consider getting Trey Hendrickson. But if you feel like the core of George Kittle, Trent Williams, and Fred Warner and all the other aging players, if you feel like you can't realistically win a Super Bowl, I think you kind of have to just go forward with the next, with the next group, and then just use the first round pick to try to add to the new core, where you have Ricky Pearsall, you got Diamador Lenore, you've got, well, what should have been Michael Williams. Now it's, Alfred Collins, Renardo Green. I mean, it kind of sucks because, like, right now McCaffrey's on his, I'd say, like, he's at the end of his prime, kind of entering the like, not the twilight stages of his career, but I mean, he's still playing at a high level. He's still Christian McCaffrey, but how long, or like running backs, one season they can be great, the next season it's, once you're old, once you lose a step, it's a big deal at running back. But I think the 49ers, it's imperative for them to figure out when their realistic, like, Super Bowl roster construction is going to come into effect, because you don't want to buy and add on to the problem that they have of, you have to take on Trey Hendrickson's contract,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Malcolm Kuntz's contract looks like, but I feel like that would be a much more manageable thing for them to do. And Kuntz, I think, is younger, right?
I believe he's younger, and again, it's only a 1-year deal. I want to say it was a $12 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's way
not
more
much.
manageable than the top money that you're going to have to pay Trey Hendrickson, which the 49ers are already, all offseason it was, all right, we're going to reset our it's like a soft reset this year of the contracts. So you also have to factor in the fact that they're going to start having the Brock Purdy's cap number, just jump right off the page. So yeah. But in terms of the last things that I want to say about this Giants game, I think it's fun to watch Mac Jones play. There's something fun about him. And then just the fact that you can tell that he's hurt, but he's still playing. I like it. I mean, he's making a lot of money doing it. Like, I think there's incentives in his contract where if those were guaranteed, I don't know if he gets up.
Yeah. Right.
Where it's like every game from now on, he's like making either 100,000 or a couple 100,000. Every game that he like starts and finishes or something like that, or that he wins. So that could be another thing. Honestly, the NFL, there needs to be more incentivized contracts. Every player's best season always comes from incentivized contracts.
Yeah, that or being on a contract year where they're about to get a new contract.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and jump ship and move forward to the 49ers game next week against the Rams. I personally, the first time around this year, it was on the road. Well, really, it was on the road at home, kind of, or at home on the road. This time around, it's going to be at Levi's. I want to say it's an afternoon game. It'll be at like 1:05 or 1:25. The 49ers will be playing the Rams, who I think will be without Puka Nacua. He's dealing with an injury, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check.
I think I saw McVay said that he could have came back into the game this past week.
Oh, so maybe he will play. He didn't play the first time around, right?
I don't remember.
But the 49ers are going to have their hands full again with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua if he plays. And really, it was such a close game the last time that they played, and the 49ers barely just pulled that one out because Alfred Collins punched the ball out of Kyren Williams' hands on the goal line. And they still almost lost after that, right? So, how do you see this game playing out, Mike?
Well, I mean, on defense, you don't have Fred Warner this time. I don't remember if they had Nick Bosa at the time or not. I feel like they did.
I think they did.
Maybe they did.
Let me look. 49ers versus Rams.
There's been a lot of cloud around the health of Purdy and Pearsall to the point where it's like every week, all right, this should be the week, right? Where they come back and then there's no update and then they're out. At least from my perspective. I guess from a fantasy football perspective. Maybe I'm wrong. But it feels like every week it's like, oh, they could come back, and then every week it's Purdy and Pearsall are still out. I don't know if this is the week where they come back. That would certainly help. But then again, are they going to be rusty? This, that, whatever. I don't know, man. I think the Niners are just piling up injuries, and the Rams are just seemingly on a hot streak. And assuming Puka plays, I don't see the Niners pulling this one out without Fred Warner. Without any edge defender really of value right now, currently today. To
So
like
Uncle Bill's chill room did clarify Bosa did not play because he got hurt against the
the
Cardinals.
week before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of
Thank you.
figured that. Yeah, because I think part of the idea behind that Rams game was like, there's no fucking chance this injured ass team, no Kittle, no Bosa, and probably no Purdy. And then they still won. Definitely no Purdy. I remember Mac Jones was getting lit up in that game. But yeah, I think maybe this second time around, the Rams have a better idea of what to do. And again, less star power on defense to go with that against Puka, Devontae, Kyron Williams. Stafford's just on an absolute tear this season. Yeah, it's going to probably be a rough one for Diamador Lenore.
Yeah.
And then the real question is, can McCaffrey overpower the Rams defense alone, essentially? I
Actually,
don't think so.
you mentioned it might be a rough one for Diamador Lenore. I think it'll be a rough one for the corner, probably Renardo Green of whoever he's covering because Stafford has shown the tendency. I mean, last year it was he would hyper target Puka like the past 2 years, but ever since Devontae has joined the team, he kind of hyper targets both. So,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and so I think like Kyron hasn't been getting as much of the bulk of the carry or I guess of the load on offense. Um,
And
I
goal
see
line
this.
touches. It's
I
just
see.
goal line fades to Devontae lately.
Yeah, I see this game as a shootout. To be honest, I think without Fred Warner, I think that the Rams are going to probably exploit the middle of the field. Um, I I'm also going to pick the Rams to win this game. Obviously, I'm rooting for the 49ers, and it's a divisional game. Anything can happen. Literally, it doesn't matter who's hurt. Last time I thought I picked the Rams last time to win, and you know what? I was wrong. I would love to be wrong again. But I just with the current circumstances that I am given, I just don't know if I see the 49ers pulling out this victory against the Rams that are clearly on kind of a hot streak right now. I mean, they're 3-2, right? No, they were they were 3-2 at that time. What are the current records? Hold on. NFC West standings. Yeah, the 49ers are 6-3, Rams are 6-2. I think it's gonna be a shootout, Mike. I'm gonna go ahead and predict the score. I'm not good at score predictions, but if I had to be a betting man, I'd say the Rams kick at least one field goal and score 3 touchdowns. Which I don't know if you would call that a shootout, but when it. All right, let's see. Yeah, that wouldn't be a shootout then. I'm gonna
I'll
say
say this: I'm looking at the previous Niners Rams game, like just team stats and stuff. Something that pops out to me: the yards are pretty similar. The first downs were identical. Penalties similar. Third downs were same-ish percentage, right? Red zone, actually, the Rams were a little bit better, 3 out of 5 versus the Niners, 2 out of 5. Possession, the Niners are up 40-26. That game went to overtime. But also, I think the key to that game was that the Niners had 0 turnovers and the Rams had 2 turnovers. I think that's what it
Yeah.
takes to beat this Rams team, and I don't know if this time around if that's going to happen. I wouldn't count on that to like lightning to strike twice, if you will. You know.
Yeah. I do remember the Blake Corum fumble, and then obviously the
Yeah.
Kyron Williams, the goal line stop that Alfred Collins had. Uncle Bill's chill room says any Rams injuries that weren't available the first go around. So on
Of
the
the major
Rams,
players, I was just looking at it. Puka was in the game.
yeah, Puka
Devontae was in the
was.
game. Kyron, Stafford, maybe offensive or defensive line or a corner or something, but I wouldn't know. Um, and it would take too long for me to find that out.
Yeah, yeah. I wish we could give you a better answer there, but I know, God, the Niners were without Malik Mustafa. They were without Nick Bosa, like you mentioned earlier, which they're still going to be without Nick Bosa. Greg says he believes that it's going to be a defensive kind of game, 20-17. Greg, who do you think is going to win? If the score's 20-17, do you think that Niners lose 20-17, or do you think they pull this one out? I feel like the score is going to be 27-24. That's kind of what I feel like.
Yeah, I could see that one. I could see more of like a. I mean, what was the total score for the Giants game?
It was 34-24.
24. So I mean, the Giants without Scatabo and Malik Neighbors put up 24 points. I could see it being like 31-27 Rams.
I can see that too. Uh, just trying to think who in this game would score if they do. I think Stafford is throwing at least 3 touchdowns, or throwing 2 touchdowns, and Kyron's going to have a touchdown.
Mm.
It would not shock me if Stafford has 3 and then Kyron has 1, and then there's just 4 touchdowns, right, for the Rams.
Right.
I think Mac Jones probably throws 2 touchdowns. Maybe has there's going to be at least a turnover on both sides of the ball. I think the Rams might turn it over. Niners probably, have 1 turnover, just kind of based on the way that things have played out the past couple weeks. Niners didn't have a turnover last week, but it just happens. Rams are a good football team. Niners are a good team. McCaffrey's going to have 2 touchdowns. Whether his is going to combine with Mac Jones's touchdowns, who knows? I want to see if Ricky Pearsall is going to play this week.
Mm.
I would be very interested if he does, and what that would look like. Is he just going to hit the ground running and then they're just going to hyper target him again, or is he not necessarily ready and is he just going to kind of get a little bit of cardio in and just run a couple routes, maybe play a fraction of the snaps? I think that will be an interesting thing to also monitor as we head into this game. But Greg says depends who is healthier. I can tell you one thing, it's not the 49ers. Bias side would say bias aside, that he would say the Rams. Well, you said it, bias aside, you would say the Rams, but you're saying it's because you're 1 hour from LA. That's indicating a small bias, but I understand. Bill says, Uncle Bill's chill room says, I say Terrence Ferguson gets a touchdown. I can see that. Yeah, definitely. It's tough to predict, It's like playing whack-a-mole. If I knew who was going to score a touchdown every single week, I'd probably make hella money on, gambling, right?
Mm.
And I would probably be like a 4-time fantasy football champion or something if I was really good at it.
Indubitably.
Yeah. Obviously, that's an inside joke. Mike and I, in our league, we're pretty competitive. So I have won 4 championships. But it's hard to tell the future. But there's really nothing much else that I can say other than the keys to the 49ers winning this game are probably going to come down to whether or not that they can protect the football and keep a consistent rhythm on offense, because I know the Rams, I'm not so convinced that the 49ers are going to be able to hold the Rams in check as much as they did without Fred Warner on the field, but I've seen crazier things. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Rams to win this game. Oh, I didn't even give the keys to the game. Yeah, don't turn the ball over, or I guess limit the turnovers, consistent rhythm on offense. And then pray to God that Renardo Green and Diamador Lenore can hold it down against Puka and Devontae Adams. Because that, Mike, do you think Puka and Devontae, they've got to be like the best number one and number two in the NFL, right?
I would say so. It's them, the Eagles, uh, the Bengals, obviously.
The
Those are
Vikings.
probably the top. Vikings are up there, but I'd say the top three are the three that I mentioned that I can think of. Um,
Who has the very best? Is it the Rams?
I would say currently it's the Rams, but man, I mean the Bengals, like T. Higgins is kind of slept on for like overall capabilities. Like yeah,
Ooh,
the Cowboys.
yeah,
Cowboys are
that's a
up there.
sleeper pick.
Yeah, I mean the Cowboys are very similar to the Bengals in my opinion. Where you have the star and CD and then this lanky, you know, very you know, multi-tooled receiver in Pickens. Um, I would
I would take the Rams over the Dolphins even when healthy. I think Tyreek was already kind of maybe a little washed this year. He's
Yeah, plus
kind
they're
of old.
both very short-statured receivers, whereas like T. Higgins and Devontae Smith and Puka Nakua and those sorts of guys can do a lot. I think more, like contested catches and stuff relative to Tyreek or Jalen Waddle.
Hmm.
Um, I think I'm probably picking the Bengals then the Rams. And that's no shade to Devontae Adams, but just from an age perspective. But like, I guess if it's the Super Bowl and I'm like, I need to depend on a receiver right now and I have to choose from the groups, I'm probably picking the Rams.
No, it makes sense. I think like another thing that's interesting is just how a lot of the wide receiver rooms that we named, like obviously a quarterback is going to make all the difference in the world. If you have a horrible quarterback, it's tough. But like we've seen, especially with the Dolphins and the Bengals, when it's not the starter, like the Bengals were really going through like offensive purgatory with Jake Browning. It didn't matter that they had Jamar Chase and T Higgins, and then they get
Hmm.
Joe Flacco. They get Joe Flacco in, who's 40 years old, and he's got an injured shoulder, and that offense is putting up like 40 a game.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And then the Dolphins last year, when Tua was out with his concussion, they couldn't move the ball at all. Like, I don't know. I think I'm trying to think. Maybe the Eagles. The Eagles is a good name that you mentioned. Uh, yeah, but besides that, I think we can probably move on to our next topic, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
All right, we can talk about the Raiders game with the Jaguars. The final score, the Raiders lost 30-29 in overtime. And Mike, I know you're going to have a big smile because I think in a way this was this the most exciting Raiders game that we've seen in like recent memory?
This
This was
season
best
for
case
sure.
scenario. Best case
Oh, it
scenario for the
was.
Raiders.
I want every game to be like this. I want every game to be high scoring, big fantasy football production. Run the shit out of the ball with Gianti, and then heartbreaker at the end. you know? Gino, fuck up the game at the end every time, please. Like, just further the case that you shouldn't be the quarterback while also, like, giving Brock Bowers and Gianti, like, just all the bulk of the fantasy football usage.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game was great. I thought for sure they were going to somehow pull it off. I saw Laquette wide open in the end zone in that 2-point conversion. I was like, fuck. And
Did we lose Mike? Or
yes. Thank you. Oh,
all right. I
all
think
right.
we're back. I think my internet just like dipped out for a second. What did you
Well, I
say?
saw me frozen. I was just saying that last play, the 2-point conversion, like I saw Laquette get wide open and Gino throw it to him, and
Yeah.
it got batted down. And I was very happy.
I don't know why more defensive linemen don't just stick their hands up and bat down balls. Like I almost feel like, yeah, the sack is the more flashy play, but I feel like it would be so much easier to just stick your hand up and affect the play that way. Like you could even cause an interception, which would be an
Right.
even bigger play. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about Brock Bowers in this game reminded everybody that he's still Brock Bowers. Like he was kind of an afterthought this season. Like we didn't even really like I almost felt like, man, is Brock Bowers, was he really that good or was he just hyper targeted? But no, he is really that good. He
Oh,
reminded
I
everyone.
think yeah, I think this game kind of told me like yeah, that there's no tight end like him. Like when you watch him get the ball and the run after the catch, like there is no tight end that's able to do that. Like his acceleration's actually insane, and then there are plays, if you saw the game, there are plays where he gets like an 8 yard in and it's like, 2nd and 10. He gets the ball and like the defensive back or linebacker is just standing there ready to like try to tackle him and he just runs him over.
Hmm. Oh, hold on.
Ability is insane.
I think it might be my internet, Mike, or at least the first time it was. What was the last thing that you said?
Um, just Brock Bowers and his ability to get yak and tackle breaking. Like I think he's the best tight end in football. I'm pretty confident in that after this game. Like nobody's doing what he's able to do in that game.
Best, I would say best receiving tight end. I don't know if I can give him like best all around because I
Hmm.
really do think the George Kittle is probably, and maybe I'm just biased as a 49er fan, but I do think Brock Bowers, you give it 2 years and he probably will be number one, right? Like
Yeah.
bona fide, nobody else is going to catch up. Like at least the way that that it's currently set up. His competition will be Tyler Warren, and if the Bears ever give Colston Loveland a chance, maybe he might be good. And then whoever comes out of this like next draft class, but I think Brock Bowers is the start of the next generation of tight ends.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's the next Travis Kelsey plus. Like I think he's Gronkowski and Travis Kelsey put together. I think he's that good.
So you think he's like two Hall of Famers in one?
I think without saying that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, like the way that he plays the game and is able to make plays after catching the pass, yeah.
I think I think he's very good, but like Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelsey though, like
Right. Well, I'm saying like I agree with you on the Travis or the George Kittle point. Like he's not as good of a blocker. He's not as good in the run game as George Kittle. So I'll give that to Kittle. I think overall, yes, Kittle probably still is the best tight end in football, but the most dynamic tight end in football right now is Brock Bowers. And if you watch the film from this game, you will see why.
I thought he was very good. I'll say that. I He reminds me of Travis Kelsey. Right now, he reminds me of not Travis Kelce right now, but Travis Kelce when he was quicker, when he was younger, fresher, which
Hmm.
that's a good thing. Not the Travis
I,
Kelce that's doing his podcast and dating Taylor Swift and like being unbearable for fans right now.
right. I'm just saying, like, Travis Kelce made his money as being this zone beating, knowing where to be against zone, very God,
Finding the open pockets, kind of like
void.
Cooper Cup.
Yeah, like I don't know if I'm breaking up right now, but just that ability to avoid defenders, right?
Yeah,
Like that's kind of his superpower as well as just the rate that he's being fed, which that second part is very much Bowers. Um, where Gronk comes in is the yak ability. Like Travis Kelce has never been a yak guy. He's just able to get so open that he gets yak naturally,
yes.
right? But he's not special with the football in his hands. Gronk is, and Brock Bowers, I would argue, is more special with the ball in his hands.
What about Tony Gonzalez? What do you think about that comparison?
Tony Gonzalez, I'd have to go back and see how good of a blocker he was. Probably in the Tony Gonzalez range. Like I
Because Tony
consider
Gonzalez was quick.
Gonzalez,
He was quick.
yeah, I consider Gonzalez to kind of be better than Kelsey and Gronk. Like I think Kelsey and Gronk were very much beneficiaries of their situation, right?
That's a good
Like
point.
Gronk was obviously special, but he had the goat, right? And now Kelsey has the new goat in theory. Um, but like yards after catch and shit, like Gronk was so fucking awkward when you watch him. Was he a total truck? Yes. But, you know, I think Gonzalez is probably more of where we're looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, but is he a cold-blooded killer like the other Patriots tight end?
No. No. Bowers is like the opposite of that.
Yeah, obviously
He's
I'm
so
kidding.
soft
That's a
spoken.
very distasteful joke. I'm sorry, everybody. But I do want to address Greg's comments here. He says I was at this game and sort of came out of the game with my voice sort of messed up. The fans did their part in the stadium. Are you talking about the 49er game or are you talking about the Raider game? I don't know. Let me know which game. Um, and which 49er game. I'm assuming you're talking about a Niner game. That's why it was the Rams game. I'm assuming the Rams game over in LA. Bowers is going to be good, like Travis Kelce. I think Bowers is already good and better than Travis Kelce right now. We'll just see how his career plays out. Oh, Raiders game. You were at the Raider game against the Jaguars. Very
That's
interesting.
the way I kind of took it when
Oh,
it
okay.
came in.
Okay. How about a healthy George Kittle to a Brock Bowers? A healthy, I would take Brock Bowers now. I would take Brock Bowers
Right.
now because he's younger. But if they're
Over
both,
the course of the career, right now I can't say that Bowers is going to be better overall than Kittle, but I think like he's saying, like Kittle did have that yak ability. Like I always think of that 4th and 2 or 4th and 11 versus the Saints, whatever it was.
4th and 2.
Um, yeah, I think Bowers is capable of that sort of play, but also while being a bit faster and seemingly more explosive with the ball in his hands. Um, but the blocking is where Kittle sort of separates from most tight ends as an overall great tight end.
Can can I make a comparison right now? Like I think right now Brock Bowers reminds me of sort of like he's like the Jamar Chase of tight ends right now. He's just able
Bowers?
to, yeah, Brock Bowers. He's able to beat
Okay.
man coverage and get open, and he's just that good. Like the defense knows it's going to him, but he's able, like, he can be hyper targeted and be efficient
Mm.
and be effective. Do you
Yeah.
agree with that, or do you
Oh yeah,
think
I mean
that
he's a man beater. Like he can beat man press coverage. And I think that not every tight end can do that.
he's a man beater? Yep.
Yeah.
Well, very well put, Mike. So, what else stood out in this game to you?
I would say Ashton Gianti's usage. They actually made it an emphasis this time to get him the ball, and it worked. I think that was a big reason why they were able to score 29 points in this game. Um,
He was
and
great as a pass catcher for sure.
yeah, I mean that I want to see more of that. I think all season I've been thinking that, not just because he's on my fantasy team, but like there are plays where, Gino's looking, and Gianti's either blocking in the pocket and it's useless essentially, or he's out in the flat wide open with like a defender at least 5 yards away from him, probably more. And I'm like, and that's all you can see on the screen. So I'm like, just throw it to Gianti, let him make a play, and then he gets, Gino throws an incompletion or an interception. Um, Whereas now he's actually throwing it to him, and I'm like, thank you. And you're seeing him get like 12-yard gains on these plays, and it's like, that's so obvious. Do it more.
I want to mention, Mike. I think this game is very interesting because I think the Jaguars are, a pretty good team. Obviously, they were without Travis Hunter, which was very shocking. Just kind of the way that whole thing went down. I
I
thought
want to mention that. Literally a week ago, I said the Jags game was a game that I was looking towards getting tickets potentially to go to because I wanted to see Travis Hunter in person. I wanted to see this player playing on offense and on defense. I thought that would be so cool. And the tickets were half the price of the Bears game that I also wanted to go to. And then I was like, this team sucks. And with my luck, Travis Hunter will be out, by the time that game gets here. And then the very next week, he gets an injury at practice and he's put on IR right before the Raider game. So good for me for not wasting $200+
Yeah, good for you, Mike. But I thought Geno Smith in this game was, at least on the stat sheet, he was decent. Obviously, had another interception, and he turns it over, or he's turned it over this season like there's no tomorrow. But Brock Bowers, correct me if I'm wrong. This was what, the third game that he suited up for this year?
Uh, I think so, yeah, because week 1 and then week 2 he kind of struggled, and then I believe this was the third game, yeah.
He was also injured, while he played, right? And the Raiders could have won that week 2 game. Is it
Hmm.
possible that right now, I mean, the offense played well. You guys scored 29 points. And obviously there was that extra quarter of overtime. Is it possible that maybe Brock Bowers being reinstilled in this offense actually changes everything about the Raiders, like everything that we thought that we knew, right? Like if Brock Bowers is on the field, does that increase Ashton Genty's efficiency, right? Does
Hmm.
that make Geno Smith throw more touchdowns because he has another red zone target, right?
Yeah, I
Could
mean, I think Bowers makes a difference on offense to make it simple. But yes, I think that helps prevent the defense sell out for the run. That helps prevent the defense from just doubling up on Jacoby Myers or, putting an extra safety or whatever they might do for Trey Tucker. You know, Suddenly the guy you need to look out for is not just Ashton Gianti, it's Brock Bowers. And it's probably Brock Bowers first, then Gianti second,
yeah.
you know?
So I mean, Bowers had 130 something combined yards and 3 touchdowns. Like he was insane in this game.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the Raiders, that we look at the Raiders differently going forward than just oh, they're the worst team in football, right? Like, can they possibly put up points and win some games now?
Yeah, I mean, I never looked at them as the worst, but bottom three potentially, yeah. Um, but as a team that needs to, sell and look towards their youth, yes. Like something that frustrated me about this game and the past week was signing Tyler Lockett and then putting him on the field 100% in place of Jack Besh. Dante Thornton was a healthy inactive in this game.
Yeah,
Um,
there goes my
and
prediction from earlier this year. Although I said don't be surprised if he's more involved in the offense than Jacoby Myers, which
mm,
Jacoby Myers might not be on this football team. So maybe there's hope. There's hope. Go
yeah, I
on.
mean, I'd prefer that Jacoby Myers gets traded tomorrow. I could see a fourth or fifth round pick getting it done. Um, and that way it's Tyler Lockett, not the first receiver. Trey Tucker would probably be the first receiver, not named Brock Bowers, right? Bowers is the number one receiver. You play a lot of two tight end sets with Michael Mayer. Tyler Lockett, Trey Tucker are your other receivers, and then your sort of reserve receivers are Jack Besh and Dante Thornton. Maybe you sign another guy, probably a guy off the fucking practice squad. I don't know. And then you run the damn ball with Janty. Like that makes sense to me. But it doesn't make sense to me when you're a 2-6 team, I believe now, um, and you're not getting your second round rookie on the field in favor of a diminishing 30-plus-year-old receiver named Tyler Lockett. Why?
To be
I
fair,
understand the whole competitive, like, oh, we need to compete under Pete Carroll and we want to win games, but like know where you are. Like understand where your team is at, which is you should be selling off assets to get trade or draft assets for next year. This season's a wash, forget it. Just develop your young players.
so how would you feel? All right, right now, because it's a double edged sword. It really is. Because I'm guilty of it too. When I'm like, yeah, why isn't he playing the young players? Why is so and so in here right now? I do this all the time. I especially did it, with the whole Trey Lance, situation, which I still think he needed to play. Um, if Jack Besh played in this game, and this is a big if, and what ifs are good, pretty much good for nothing. But if Jack Besh had played in this game, and let's just say he gets hurt and he's out for the year, like on a lost season, versus if he gets a whole year of practice in this system and then he's better off next year to be a real contributor, like how would you like wouldn't you in that situation rather have, you know what, this player right here, Tyler Lockett, they can run him into the ground. He's not going to be a part of this team's future. Why are we going to put miles on the good, on the player that will probably be here long term?
I don't know. I mean, I could see that for a running back. And I could mostly see that for, I mean, really a guy like Omarion Hampton, who's kind of on topic with my fantasy team. But like if I'm the Chargers and instead of being what 6-3 or 5-3, whatever they are,
Six and three.
if you're like, yeah, if you're like 500 and you're just losing offensive linemen left and right, like I'd just be like, you know what, we're shutting Omarion Hampton down for the season. But because you're a playoff team or caliber team, like you still go for it. You want him back on the field because he's an explosive guy who's going to help you win. For the Raiders though, because Jack Besh isn't a running back, I want him to get snaps versus NFL corners. You know, I want to see him gradually getting better. Whereas in practice, are you going to get better? Yes, but it's not game reps. Um,
I tend to agree with
I,
you.
I
I just wanted to play devil's advocate. by the way, just to be
Yeah.
clear.
I would only shut down Jack Besh if he were injured. Otherwise, I want him on the field. Yeah.
To be fair to Tyler Lockett, he was wide open for the game-winning 2-point conversion.
Right.
To be fair to him.
Yeah.
And if the whole, all the players' goals, all the coaches' goals is to win games, and they don't want to lose, I understand.
No, yeah, I understand why a coach and every player wants to win every game. I mean, Max Crosby put out a pretty good message between a tweet and then also, post game, not press conference, but like interview in the locker room. Just voicing his frustration of, we just keep losing and this sucks for Raider fans. This sucks for us. Like I get it why players want to win and why coaches need to win. All of them need to win to like keep their job, get better pay, all those things, right? I completely get it. It's just like to me, we're near in year one of a regime. Maybe I'm weak or whatever, or too conservative or whatnot, but or not conservative, maybe the other way. But if I'm the owner, like I understand a year one, fuck up of a season. Like that's year one. It's kind of what you expect. The Seahawks were not good in year one of Mike McDaniel's tenure. Now, suddenly, they look dangerous as hell because of simply an offensive coordinator and quarterback change.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Now they're ready, right? I can see something similar for the Raiders. Literally, offensive coordinator and quarterback change could really do it, as well as some offensive line upgrades and, probably a good defender as well, at least one. I would say a linebacker, definitely a starting corner. I like Jeremy Chin at safety. Isaiah Polamau is so up and down right now. A D tackle would probably help. So it's a lot of shit, but in theory, you can do it. You can suddenly become a playoff team in one off season with the right hires. Like that's where coaching and all of that comes into play. But anyways.
This is the tweet that you were referring to, by the way. Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it?
From Max Crosby, Raider Nation, I love y'all with everything in my heart and soul. Y'all deserve better. Stay as one. It will change.
He did have a bald eagle at the end of the tweet, and then I did see a couple people saying, that's an eagle. Why is there an eagle in the tweet? Mike,
it's because he's the condor.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a good answer. Good answer. You were on top of that. No controversy on this podcast. But, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting going forward. Do we want to go ahead and move on to the Broncos game and give our predictions there and as we wrap up the pod?
Yeah.
All right. I think it's going to be interesting reevaluating the Raiders going forward in each game. You never know what's going to happen in a divisional game. I think it's kind of interesting that both our teams are playing divisional games this week. The Raiders are going to be at the Broncos this time, right?
I believe so.
Let me clarify.
Yeah, all I know is it's on Thursday Night Football.
Oh, they're playing Thursday?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow. Yes, they are. The Raiders are 2-6. The Broncos are 7-2, and it's going to be at Mile High. Well, it's not Mile High Stadium anymore, is it?
I think so.
No, I think
maybe they call it something else, like Empower or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's not going to be a win for the Raiders. I'm just going to tell you, it wouldn't shock me if this is one of the. It would not shock me if the Raiders just pull off the Raider thing and just like win a game that they're not supposed to win, and we're just like sitting here like, man, how'd that happen? Because that happens every year. I should make a compilation of every single time that happens on the pod, and we just, you're just going to see me with a big smile on my face. I'm like, yeah, Mike, the Raiders won. And then you're like, Yeah, I'm super fucking annoyed about it. Just every year it happens.
Yeah, I mean, technically this year it was week 1 against the Patriots, but we didn't know that yet, you know? Like the
No,
Patriots are a
we
damn good
called
team
it.
this year.
But okay. I see what you
Like
mean.
in hindsight, it's like it'll make so much sense. Like we will beat the Giants at the end of this year and maybe one other game, right? And then that puts us at 4 wins, and that slides us back to like the 4th overall pick. And it's like, fuck! If we just didn't beat the Patriots week 1, we'd have the 1st overall pick. 100%. I can see it coming. I can absolutely see it coming. And then it's going to be, son of a bitch, they picked a wide receiver when the 3rd quarterback was on the board. What are they doing? When it could have just been 1st overall pick the obvious quarterback and move on.
No, it's literally gonna be. We're gonna be here. What, in April? Is that when the draft is?
Yeah, end
And
of
then,
April.
wow, the Raiders just traded up. They moved Jack Besh in order to trade up in the first round from the 4th overall pick. They went to the 3rd, and they select Marvin Harrison the third.
Yeah, another receiver.
Yeah, this is
I
gonna
don't
be
know.
great, Greg. Let me tell you, Geno Smith gets his weapon. You know, they just freaking
No, I'm telling you, like from a team building perspective, and the contract that they gave Gino this offseason is 100% the year to draft the quarterback. It has to be. It has to be. Draft the quarterback, rest of the draft, build around him. One more year of like, and then that year 3 of Pete Carroll is when the rookie quarterback comes in and the team around him is better built and you start winning games just like the Patriots this year. That's what they should be going for. In 2027, right?
yeah, 2 years from now.
2027, yes. In 2027, the Raiders should look like what the Patriots look like now. If they don't, it's a complete failure.
The Patriots are on their first year with Mike Vrabel, who was also available this offseason.
Yeah. The
That's who
difference
you
though
wanted.
is that's who I wanted, but the difference there is they had the young quarterback as well as the Bears who got the other guy that I wanted, um, and Ben Johnson. Like that makes a difference, right? That's more uh of a good landing spot for a coach hire, right?
Hmm.
Than the Raiders, just with cap money.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you guys got a grandpa, who's like, you know. No, I liked the Pete Carroll hire. I personally think that's the guy the Raiders should have gone for, especially in that division.
Right.
So
Yeah, and building a system and building culture and this winning, more consistent culture. Like I still like it in theory. They just have to make it work, and that's doing the hard work. So it'll take a while.
all right, the way that I see this game going, I think the Raiders will put up 10 points. I think Brock Bowers catches a touchdown and they kick a field goal. And I think the Broncos put up 24 points. 24 to 10.
Let's see. So something we need to bear in mind. I believe Pat Surtain Jr. or whatever is going to be out. Is he not on IR or let's see. Pat
All
Surtain.
right. So the Raiders will
Yeah,
score 9 points. No, just kidding.
he's got a pectoral injury. He's probably going to be out for week 10. I mean, it's Thursday Night Football. He was out this week, so the Broncos just faced the Texans, who have a really good defense, but also their offense is struggling. Stroud was knocked out of this game. The final was 18-15 Broncos. Bo Nix did start this game, I think, with an interception. The way that I feel about Bo Nix is that he's just, this is the funny word to use now post Thanos, but he's just inevitable, at least fantasy wise, because he started with like -2 or -3 fantasy points. He still ends out with 22 fantasy points. Like every game, he's going to attempt passes. He's going to get his 200-ish yards and 2 touchdowns. But I guess the point here with this game total, the Broncos will win this game. They'll win by at least probably a touchdown, most likely. But I think the Raiders will score a little bit more than perhaps expected. It really depends probably on the run game. I think it's more of like Broncos just score like crazy on the Raiders. Like it's like 31-21.
I was just gonna tell you, I think the Broncos will win by 10 points. I don't know how the game is gonna go by in between, but I'm confident that at the end it's gonna be 10 points.
Yeah, and I'll even 31-20 because that way it's 4 touchdowns for the Broncos and a field goal, 1 touchdown for the Raiders, 2 field goals. Right?
I think
Oh
you're
no,
right.
the 2 touchdowns. Sorry,
Two
2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. Yeah.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keys to the game for the Raiders is feed Brock Bowers. That is now key number 1 in every single game going forward.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure in the past the Broncos have put Pat Surtain one-on-one with Bowers. I'm pretty sure of that.
And
so
now he's out.
Yeah, Bowers should have a good game. And yeah, feed Janty.
Yes.
Throw it to Janty.
Throw it to Janty was going to be my next key. I think that the efficiency, getting him in open space, I love that shit. Do it. Genty's proven to be very efficient through the air. And the next key is going to be pressure Bo Nix. Don't let him feel comfortable. He's
I'd
going to
say
be
if
able
you
to
want a
distribute
key,
the ball to whoever he wants. He's got a bunch of receivers.
Yeah. I would say if you want a key to winning this game, it would be to win the turnover battle, but that's probably a big reason why I don't think they're going to win this game. So, yeah.
And then key number 4, Max Crosby go up to Sean Payton before the game and punch him in the mouth.
Yeah, or spit in his face. You know what? That actually reminds me. I know we're on the next topic, but Max Crosby was just jumping off the screen for me in this past game against the Jaguars. Like,
splitting double teams and.
Yeah, dude, the way that he's able to split these double teams off the snap and his like immediate burst to get pressure or a tackle for loss is just insane. It's absolutely insane. He's the best run defender in football.
Mm-hmm. Best run defender? Jalen Carter?
Run defending at... I'd have to see it. I don't know. His ability to get tackles for loss is absolutely insane. I don't think anybody's on a trajectory like him.
I think for edge for sure, and he's got a
relentless
motor.
Yeah.
Greg says, to be honest, once the Commanders was going to get Jaden Daniels, he was going to be running the ground like RG3. We talked about it. That Jaden Daniels wasn't going to be able to just keep taking these hits, and he didn't even take like a massive hit. He just got spun to the ground and he tried to brace the impact, and dislocated his elbow or broke his arm, however you want to, or however it was officially diagnosed.
I remember coming out of college, the big knock on him was he was too like rambunctious with the ball in his hands. And this was just a freak play. It wasn't like he was trying to do a somersault, which I was watching the Steelers game. There was a hilarious fumble where I think it was Roman Wilson did a flip and got hit in the air and they forced a fumble. It was stupid.
Like an NFL street thing.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, you hear the freak.
Yeah.
Fucking the music stops. No, but yeah, it was just a freak accident for Jaden Daniels. But I know the two main knocks on him were like his size and like skinniness relative to like how rambunctious he was with the ball in his hands. And I think the issue with this game was simply that it was completely far gone. He should have never been in that game. it feels the same to me as Derek Carr in 2016 against the Colts, but in the opposite respect. Like the Raiders were running up the score. Like, come on, guys, stop. Whereas this one is kind of borderline worse. Like
They were
the game's
down,
over. Just pull the starters, dude.
or at least your franchise quarterback.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Dan Quinn said he messed up. He like
he's been
openly,
yeah
yeah, he openly admitted he messed up by having Jaden Daniels in there.
yeah.
So yeah, maybe Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt will run the ball more. Um, on a separate, or not a separate note, but more on Jaden Daniels and just kind of exactly what we talked about for him. I remember we talked about two things in particular. It was just he has to protect himself more at the NFL level because he'll get hurt running the ball. But also, we talked about his elbow. Do you remember, Mike, the picture that we had of his elbow? You know, where
Yeah.
it was just like I'd never seen an elbow like that. And
Yeah.
now, like, I'm not saying I was right or anything because this isn't on his throwing arm and shouldn't affect his career, thankfully, because it's not on his throwing arm. But, like, I wonder if, like, I mean, anybody's elbow probably would have snapped there. But I just think it's like, it's a coincidence that, like, where his injury occurred and where we brought it up, like,
Mm.
I don't know. It's like, just interesting to me. Not like I'm not taking a victory lap or anything because I don't want to do that for something like that. And it's not a victory lap. His throwing mechanics. Yeah, I mean he's been throwing the ball great in his career. But yeah. Let's see. If there's any body part, Jason Down says if there's any body part you want to hurt as quarterback, it's the left elbow. Yeah, or probably
Yeah,
like the left.
non-throwing.
Yeah, the left pinky or something, or
Right.
yeah. But I agree, Jason. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, if this
Because
was his right arm and this is like suddenly requiring Tommy John or some shit, like
yeah,
he'd be having problems next season.
this is the best worst case scenario for Commanders fans because
Yeah,
really,
and also as a mobile quarterback, like if it was his leg, like
yeah,
completely different.
yeah, and then also like you have to think the Commanders, something was up with them this year. I think they benefited a lot by looking, way better than they actually were because of the schedule that they had last year. Like they were more, I guess, a win now team with the schedule that they had, and then they just got hot at the right time and made a good push in the playoffs. They beat Detroit, and then I forgot the other team that they played. Unless did they win the NFC East? No, the Eagles did.
Right.
I forget
They might
who
have beat
else.
like the Buccaneers and the somebody like that. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
Maybe the Seahawks or something.
but this year they weren't as good. They won so many close games the year before. Jason Down says, "I agree with you guys. He is slight, and he needs to be less aggressive with his running." I mean, that's part of the thing that makes him so special and so unique. It's just about taking the big hits. Like, you know, there's other quarterbacks in the league that just need to learn how to slide. Like, I feel like Josh Allen needs to slide more than he does. One day he's going to
Mm.
hurt his shoulder, and he's going to realize he's not as young as he once was. And I love
Yep.
Josh Allen. You never see Mahomes taking hits like that.
No. Although Mahomes did take a huge hit in this Bills game.
Yes,
Like
but
as he threw a ball out of bounds or something. It was crazy.
very seldom. It's
Yeah.
like very far and few. And Mahomes he doesn't run at the same volume or consistency as Jaden Daniels, but Mahomes knows how to protect himself, and he also knows how to
Mm.
game the system too. Where I'm almost out of bounds, let me turn up field and gain 50 more yards.
Mm.
So I don't know. It just sucks. Yeah, that the Jaden Daniels injury sucked. But
Indeed.
yeah, yeah. that's all we got for the show today. I just want to give a quick thank you to not just Mike over here for being the star of the show, but I want to give a thank you to Jason Downs, who I think might be the first time that he's tuned in. I do. Is that MF Doom? I think. Yeah, I like that MF Doom profile picture. I want to also thank Greg Lira and Uncle Bill's Chill Room and anybody else who tuned into the stream and was not able to comment today. We definitely appreciate that you guys take time out of your days to catch us live. And then for those of you who tune into us after the fact, we do respond to comments. So if you guys leave us a comment, we'll get to it as soon as we see it. Jason Downs says Denver 35-17. I think that's a solid prediction too. So
It's fair.
So yeah, Mike, you have any last words before we get out of here today?
Nothing I can think of.
All right. I'm gonna try something this time, because every single time that I play the outro and I click stop streaming, so there's a delay, so it cuts it off. I'm gonna let it play. I'm gonna let it end, and then I guess we'll just be throwing up peace signs until it ends. But yeah.
Greg, I'm gonna say Cowboys are gonna win by quite a few points tonight. No Kyler tonight. So
yeah, I'm also cooked. I only have like a 30-point lead, and I'm facing CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. So,
well, it could also work out for you if they're up by 14 in the third quarter or something. They just start running the ball.
I think that would work out for Renee.
Maybe, but also McBride's been best without Kyler this year, with Brissett specifically, and that's what he's getting tonight. And also, I have like 3 or 4 players. I mean, I have Dak, Pickens, and McBride tonight, and then he has obviously his running back or Javonte, but he doesn't have a kicker. Yeah. I don't know what that was all about.
I don't know what happened with that, because I don't understand how his players left IR.
Well, I can understand Ramondre never being on IR, but no, he was. Haskins.
They both were. He had 2 players out on IR.
He had Bowers on IR.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think he had Ramondre. I think he had Haskins and Bowers, and then I don't know why he chose to move Haskins. Because Haskins is on IR, but in that case, just drop Haskins and then pick him up next week if you really want him. If I were him, I'm like, this is desperate. I need to start a kicker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, last night, literally, once we got into Sunday Night Football, I was like, I'm going to pick up Chad Ryland before Renee does, and then I realized that Joey already did, so I was like, well, shit, I'm good.
Yep. Greg has your dream for Monday Night Football tonight. He has Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb going tonight. I know Mike will be super duper happy if Dak and CeeDee have massive games, because that might mean good, or that would probably mean good things for Mike, but that would also probably mean bad things for me. And Mike wishes nothing but destruction for my fantasy team every single year.
Well, if you win tonight, it's not really that bad or anything for me. You'd also be helping me stay above Tyler in that 5 to 6 seed range for the playoff race. And then I had Jordan lost. Of the 4-4 teams, it's me, Tyler, and Jordan. And then Hutch is 5-3. You're 5-3. Hutch is losing to, most likely to Enrique, who's 3-5. So he'll move up.
Hutch will lose if the Cowboys score 0 points. Look at the matchup.
Oh. Then Hutch will win, you're saying?
Hutch will win if the Cowboys score 0 points. Yeah. Or if they score touchdowns and go for 2.
Yeah, which, he'll get his 1 point. He literally just needs 1 point. Yeah. 1 extra point is all Enrique needs.
Dude, that's why, what did Hutch say? He said...
he'd go on a 4-night bender.
Yeah. No, no, no. He said he's going to Dallas and he's going to kidnap the Cowboys kicker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, I admittedly think it would be really fun for the league if you do lose to Tyler, because then we'd have a big 4-team race at 5-4 next week between you, me, Tyler, the commissioners, and Hutch. That would be
I
the third through sixth seed.
I think it would be fun for the league as well, and it would just be me saying, "See, I didn't make these moves that made me unbeatable. I'm not
Right.
unbeatable.
It
I'm
would
just a
also
man."
it would also further the gap between you and your brother for the 2 seed.
Yeah.
That'd be great for your brother.
Yep. Yeah.
So we'll see.
Honestly, dude, that'd be crazy. Honestly, I kind of wonder if Joey is at the end of the year going to be like, you know what? For the first time, I had fun and going to want to stay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what all this winning is about.
It's like the Danny DeVito, the meme where he's like, I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, we would just probably have to like discuss a possible expansion.
Oh, I'm perfectly cool with 12 teams. That'd be up to everybody else.
I
It'd be a change.
I would like to keep it at 10. I
Mhm.
would like I would like to if we can, but who knows? We might need an expansion.
Yeah.
We just
That'd be
might.
sick.
It, it would probably. You know why I would want it at 10. I think we have like such a perfect like group right now, and then
Mhm.
but also if we kept it at 10, that just means, hey man, every year I have a 1 in 10 chance. But you know what?
Right.
If we did 12, it would just make it more impressive when I win my fifth or my sixth.
I'm just gonna look at something really quick. We have 7 bench spots plus 2 IR spots, right?
Yes.
So in my 12-team league, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 1 IR spot. I think if we went 12 teams, we could. Uh,
See, we wanted to
you don't
add
want
an
to have.
extra bench spot. Remember, we thought
Yeah,
about.
but we didn't.
No. We talked about it early this season. Tyler and somebody else mentioned. I think it might have been Tyler and Lorenzo.
Is
Like, hey, we should be adding an extra bench spot because there's too many good players on waivers.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Yeah. I
I
think if
don't
we
think
went
is
to
a
12
bad thing.
teams,
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's like, all right, it's
no,
competitive
it.
of like you have to manage your roster and not just like, oh fuck, my guy's out. I need somebody to start this week and there's nobody available.
Right.
I
I mean,
want there
even
to
in
be
a 12-team.
pressure. I want there to be pressure, because yeah, I know sometimes I'm like, I'm eyeing a guy on the waivers, right? Like for me, it
Right.
was it was Romeo Dobbs a couple weeks ago. Now I feel pretty good about picking him up.
Mm. Yeah. I don't think it's the end of the world if you have 12 teams, like relative to the waivers. Like there are still going to be good players on waivers no matter what. There's always going to be startable players. It's just a little harder to find them at that point.
Yeah, I think it would either have to be 12 teams or an extra bench spot. I don't think that we could do both at the same time.
Oh no! If we got 12 teams, we're not adding a bench spot. No way.
Yeah.
In fact, if we got 12 teams, we would remove an IR spot for sure.
Remove an IR spot?
Yeah.
I think
Because
you
then that
I think you
forces
can
more
keep
people to get cut.
I think you can keep 2 IR spots personally.
Right. Eh, It's always been normal to have just one. In my 12 team, it's just one. Like in that league, I have Pearsall on IR. Like basically in this league, I would have Hampton and I wouldn't have Joe Burrow right now.
Dude,
And that's perfectly fine.
I played so many weeks this year with like I had 4 guys out with injury this year.
Hmm.
I had Lamar out. I had what's it called? Pearsall out. I had Chris Godwin out. I had Mike Evans out.
Hmm.
What do you want from me, Mike? What do you want?
Yeah, I mean it's a matter of bad luck, but you know, in that case, having that many guys out probably means you should cut Godwin for a guy that can play, and then you got to ride with Pearsall and Mike Evans. One of them not on IR, right? But in cutting Godwin, that makes waivers more interesting in a 12-team league relative to if you have the 2 IR spots, then maybe it's not going to be as interesting on waivers.
Jason, are you
But
hearing
because
this? This guy wants to
yeah,
collude against me, clearly.
yeah,
He wants me to suck.
but no, that'll be an interesting thing to think about.
Dude, I can't. It was irking me. I'm like, I really don't feel like my trades were collusive.
Well, they weren't collusive. That's not the problem.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, that's all for the show. Um, Jason, I don't know what's going on with Arizona. I will find out next week what's going on. Actually, I will find out tonight what's going on with Arizona, and then we'll talk about them next week because I think the Niners play them the following week, right? They play them next week. But yeah, that's all we have for the show. Like I said, Mike, I'm going to let it ride. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.